Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Chronically Me podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Esther, and in today's episode, we are talking about patience and chronic illness. If you live chronically ill like me and are looking for more purpose, control, and joy in your life, then you are in the right place. This is the podcast that challenges your thinking around chronic illness so you can live the most amazing life despite extra challenges. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. Today's episode is for me, okay? This is literally just because I am struggling so bad with patience that I thought I need to figure this out for myself. Why not create an entire episode for you so we can do this together and I can share this with you, all the things that I'm trying to try on for myself when it comes to patience. I am currently 27 weeks pregnant as I am recording this episode, and man, I am just so impatient with this pregnancy. I want it to be over so bad. I'm struggling physically, I'm struggling mentally, I am just struggling, and I just want this pregnancy to be over and to be on to the next stage where I get to have my baby here. And it's just been so hard for me to wait around for that. So here we are. We're talking about patience because I need to learn patience right now. I have never been a patient person. It's something I've always struggled with. So we're going to work on this together, my friends. So let's do this. So first of all, we need to know, why do we get impatient? Why am I so impatient right now? Why do I just want to be to the next step so badly? I'd like to thank Ombre Lab for sponsoring this episode. Ombre Lab is an at-home gut test that will target your symptoms by learning which gut bacteria are causing your issues and help you identify foods that you should or shouldn't eat. If you're struggling with a health issue that you just can't figure out the cause, your gut could be to blame. When your body doesn't have enough good bacteria, bad bacteria can flourish. If you're having trouble focusing, maintaining a positive mood, or low energy, bloating, constipation, abdominal pain, struggling with maintaining a healthy weight, a weak immune system, or skin blemishes like acne or eczema, these could be signs of a gut bacteria imbalance. Did you know that 1 out of 5 Americans are struggling with gut health issues because of their diet? With too many refined sugars, artificial coloring, and hormone-filled fried foods, this is causing our guts to deteriorate. Thankfully, we can fix these issues with a better diet and the right probiotics. Ombre Lab makes this process really simple by offering an at-home gut test so you can know the state of your gut health and what problems it may be causing. Ombre Lab will analyze your results and recommend what types of foods you should be consuming more and what types of foods you should be consuming less. They also will use the results to develop a custom probiotic to help you treat these problems. These aren't one-size-fits-all probiotics that you will find at your local grocery store. These are personalized to you based on the results of the test. The test will ship straight to your door with specific collection instructions. Activate your kit, complete the test, and return it. Upon receiving your results, you will get a personalized food plan to help your healthy bacteria and gut microbiome, as well as personalized probiotics to heal your gut health with subscription. I found so much help with Ombre Lab to show me what types of foods are harmful and good for my specific body, and to give me a personalized probiotic that helps with my situation. I have struggled with gut issues for years and years, but these probiotics are specific to me because my gut was tested to see what it actually needed, and now I'm actually seeing some improvements to my gut health by using a personalized probiotic made just for me. So if you're struggling with the health issues I mentioned and want to see if your gut health is causing the problem, visit tryombre.com/Aimee, AIMEE. This link offers $30 off your test kit so you can try this for yourself to see what is happening inside your gut. I'd like to thank Ombre Lab again for sponsoring this, and let's get back to the episode. And I think the big thing is we just think we're going to be happier when the next step comes. We're going to be happier when we get the diagnosis. We're going to be happier when the pregnancy's over and we get our baby. We're going to be happier when the school semester is over and we're done with school. We're going to be happier when it's Friday and it's no longer middle of the week, we get to go to the weekend. We think we're going to be happier. And here's the thing. In some ways and in some instances, yeah, I do think we are. I think the situation you're in is easier to think positively about. I think situations that you're in are easier to find meaning out of. I think, like, if you're looking for a diagnosis, I definitely found that in many ways I was happier when I had a diagnosis, because then I was able to have a validation for my feelings. When I have my baby, yes, I'm so happy to not be pregnant anymore. But also, then we have human brains that just jump right back on the train and jump right back into finding problems. And so as soon as I get to the next step, I then still have problems. As soon as I got my diagnosis of POTS, I was happy in the moment. I was so excited to have a diagnosis. I felt like I'd waited so long for it. I was so validated about my feelings and about the symptoms that I was feeling. And initially, when I first got the diagnosis, yes, I was happier in that moment. But then I start to get used to it. I start to get used to this new life of, hey, I'm still chronically ill, but now I just have a name for it. It's called POTS. And now here's all the problems. And my brain is still finding problems with the diagnosis. And even if I wouldn't want to go back to no diagnosis, and even if I wouldn't want to go back to pregnancy once I have my baby here, that doesn't mean that my brain is not finding problems still. And sometimes we can stop ourselves and say, hey, look, see, things are better. And they were worse before, now they're better now, and we can kind of calm ourselves down. But in the moments, our brains are still looking for problems. Our brains are still trying to find something that's going wrong right now, today. And even when I have my diagnosis, now my brain is finding all the problems with the diagnosis, finding all the problems with having POTS. Because instead, before, my brain was looking at all the problems of, if I only had a diagnosis, then blank. And now it's, if I only didn't have POTS, then blank, right? Our brains are just going to adapt to wherever we're at. Whatever circumstance we're in, our brain then adapts to it. And we think once we get to that next thing, we're going to be happy. But that's not the truth. The truth is not that once I get to having my baby, I'm then going to be happy, because then initially, yes, the day my baby's born, I'm going to be so excited and happy and think, I'm so glad I'm not pregnant anymore. And over the next few months, I might have thoughts like, wow, I'm so glad I'm not pregnant anymore. Yet I will get comfortable at where I'm at then, and I will have things to complain about. I'll say, oh, but now my baby's not sleeping through the night. If only we were at a year old and my baby was sleeping through the night. Or if only I was at 2 years old and my baby was walking and talking. Yeah, I'm just going to always be wanting the next step, because my brain is always in this mode of impatience and trying to find problems with where I'm at right now. So that is why we get impatient, is because we think the next step will make us happier. And even if it does initially, I promise you, every single time, you will get comfortable with where you're at and your brain will start to find problems in that new situation. Even if you can look back and still be grateful that you are where you are now and not where you used to be, it's not like you're going to be thinking about that all the time. You're not going to be 24/7 thinking, oh man, I'm so glad I'm not pregnant anymore. No, you're going to be thinking, okay, right now, today, I'm struggling with this new thing that came up. And I'm not thinking about the pregnancy because I'm struggling with where I'm at right now. Another reason I think we get impatient is because we love instant gratification. Our brains love it. They just want to have what they want right now. And we've trained ourselves to be this way because we live in a world that you can get anything you want whenever you want. When I want to buy something, I can go to Amazon. I can find pretty much anything I want, and it can be there within a day. And guess what? I get super annoyed when it's not going to be 1 day shipping or 2 day shipping. If it's going to be longer than that, I get so annoyed. I can't believe I have to wait that long for my item to be shipped. Because we're so used to instant gratification. We're so used to be able to turn on our phone and instantly be on the internet. We're so used to getting exactly what we want right when we want it. Oh, you're hungry? Hey, there's a fast food place within minutes of your house. You want to know something? You can Google it. You can find it on the internet. You can watch a YouTube video to figure out how to do something or learn something. It's all there right at our fingertips. Everything is so quick and easy these days, and people are continuing to develop products that make life easier and faster and more convenient. And it's amazing. We live in an amazing world. So I'm not saying we don't like it in many ways, but one thing that has been a problem because of all of this stuff that we have and the convenience we have these days is that we are so used to that instant gratification that we think when we can't get it, something's wrong. My brain thinks I have to wait 3 more months to have this baby. I think something's wrong. I should be having this baby tomorrow. And my brain goes into spiral mode, and it goes and goes and goes, and I just get more and more impatient. I'm more and more annoyed because I think when I want something, I should get to have it right now. But here's the truth. Things are always better when we wait for it. Always. I mean, I can't think of a single situation when things aren't better after waiting for it. Like, think about any productive thing you've done. Maybe you've lost weight. How much better does it feel to have worked so hard to lose that weight than if you could just snap your fingers and it's gone? It doesn't feel as good. It's not as rewarding. It doesn't feel as exciting, and you aren't as proud of yourself, right? Because you didn't work for it. When you work for it and it takes time, you're going to be more proud. You're going to feel better in the end, even though in the moment, you're going to want it to be as fast as possible. But how many success stories have we heard of someone who has struggled for so long, and then they had this huge success, and it's amazing because of the struggle, right? Someone who is struggling financially, and you hear their story of they were struggling so much financially. They were living paycheck to paycheck. They were trying to get ahead on things, and then they started a business and it failed, and they started another business and it failed, and finally they started a third business and it wasn't doing very well, but then finally it took off, and they have this amazing success story, and they're super rich and famous now because of their trials, because of the hard things they went through. And it means so much more to hear someone's success story who struggled at first than it does to hear about someone who was just given a bunch of money for doing nothing, right? It means so much more. There's so much more value that we put onto it and put onto ourselves when we have to wait for something, when it takes more time. When I have to go through 9 months of pregnancy instead of just snap my fingers and my baby is here, it means so much more. I'm so much more grateful for my baby when she's here. I feel this pride in myself for making it through those 9 months, for going through that hard time, rather than just snap my fingers and it's done, right? We really do want to wait. We do. In the end, we're going to be grateful we waited, but it's hard to do so. And I know what you're thinking. What about really hard things that you have in your life that aren't good to wait for, right? There, of course, are situations where I would say, yeah, someone's in a big traumatic situation. Let's get them out as fast as possible. But I'm saying other hard things like chronic illness. Let's go into that category. With chronic illness even, that's really hard, it still is better when we wait. It is still better, not that I want to prolong anybody's journey. I don't want to prolong anybody's pain, but how much better do you feel when you were in pain for a long time? When you had a big long flare and then all of a sudden you start feeling better. I had a big flare during this pregnancy for about a month where I could hardly get out of bed. I was so sick. I felt like I could do nothing. I felt worthless. I felt like I had to have help to do every little thing during my day. And then my body started to do a little bit better. And even though it was a little bit better, I was still sick all day, every day. I was still struggling with certain things. But because it was so bad for so long before that, I was so happy to be where I was. I was so grateful that I made it through that hard time, even though I would never want to bring it back, even though I don't wish that upon anyone or upon myself. I'm grateful I went through that because I learned so much from it. And anytime I've gone through something really hard in my life, even traumatic, awful things that I've been through, it's like I look back and I think, wow, I learned so much. Wow, that taught me all of these things. I would have never become this person. I never would have done this had I not gone through that. And in the moment, that is impossible to see, I think, in a lot of ways. It's so hard to see that there is good from trials, and there is good from waiting for something, even if it's hard. And yet, when I get out of it, I'm always feeling so much more pride for myself. I'm feeling so much better. I'm feeling so much happier because I went through that really hard thing. And even with my chronic illness, I searched for a diagnosis for so long, for years and years, and was told nothing's wrong with you, you're fine. Even though it felt like my body was destroying itself inside, my doctors kept telling me nothing was wrong with you. And I'd go to doctor after doctor and hear this, and I just thought, I need a diagnosis today, now. I don't want to wait for this. And yet it was God's plan for me to not have that. It was God's plan for me to not get a diagnosis right away. And guess what? Even though I wouldn't wish that on anyone, even though I'm sad for myself that I went through that, I'm grateful that I did at this point, because it makes me so much more grateful for where I'm at now. Now I have things that are annoying. I have to wear compression socks every day that are really hard to get on. I have to eat a certain way. I have to drink a certain way. I have to do all these certain things that affect my life. But had I not gone through that hard time, I wouldn't know how great it is to have things that I know work, or that sometimes work even. Like, I wouldn't even know that if I hadn't have gone through that hard thing and had to wait to get my diagnosis. I also wouldn't be as empathetic to those of you who are still struggling to get a diagnosis. I wouldn't understand that, right? Like, we learn stuff from the hard things we go through, even if we have to practice patience through them. And one more reason I think that we struggle with impatience in our world, and me personally, is because it's uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable to wait for things. It's so uncomfortable to sit with where you're at instead of thinking about what's to come, instead of thinking about what we can do next. I think we have this God-given gift to want to do more, to want to act, to want to be able to do something, right? And when we can't do something, we just have to wait for something to happen. It's really hard. It's really hard to do. We want to take some action, and sometimes we can't. And I think it's uncomfortable to wait. Because we live in a world where everything's at our fingertips, where we can get what we want so easily, it's really uncomfortable when we can't do that. And even though everyone deals with things they have to wait for, there's so much in our world we don't have to wait for that we're so used to. It's uncomfortable to have to wait for anything. So what if we just sat in the uncomfortable? I don't like being uncomfortable, but what if I sat in it? Do I actually even know what it feels like to be impatient? Because I'm always trying to get rid of it. I'm always trying to think about, how can I avoid impatience right now? How can I avoid feeling this way? How can I speed this process up? Right? How can I get to the next stage? My thought's always like, how can I make this summer go by super fast so I can have my baby soon? And I'm like trying to plan stuff so that I can fake it to myself that time's going faster than it is. That's what I'm trying to do, right? If I can't actually speed things up, I'm thinking, how can I try to make it seem like things are speeding up? Because it's so uncomfortable to sit and wait and be where I am. So that leads us right into, how do we become more patient when we are waiting for something in the future? I'm actually going to do the next episode a little more about waiting for things that are unknown. The unknown and the fear of the future is going to be in our next episode. So today does work for both unknown futures. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get a diagnosis. I'm trying to be patient with it. And things that are known. Hey, I'm waiting for this surgery on this day, or I'm waiting for my pregnancy to be done on this day. I'm waiting for this thing to happen next summer or whatever, right? We have kind of two modes of patience. One, unknown future. One, we know when it's going to end. And I think they are both hard in different ways. In some ways, the unknown is easier because you don't have to think about, I have this many days, I have this much time, and constantly going through that part in your head. But then obviously it's a lot harder in other ways because you don't have an end. You don't know when it's going to happen. It could be tomorrow. It could be 10 years from now. You don't know. So next week's is going to be really dealing with that unknown future. And this week's will work for both. But just so you know, if you want a little more about the unknown, we're going to talk about that next week. Okay, so how do we become more patient? The first is to accept where you are. and accept that this is where I'm at, that I am 27 weeks pregnant right now. And that's the fact. That's the truth. I talk about this a lot on my podcast. What is the truth and what are the way we are thinking about that truth, right? The truth right now is I'm 27 weeks pregnant. And the truth is it's not healthy to have a baby at this time. They've had healthy babies in the long run, but it's scary. That's not where I want to have a baby. I don't want to have a baby until I'm 39, 40 weeks pregnant. So right now, I'm 27 weeks and I still have 12, 13 weeks to go. Okay? So where am I right now? And accepting it, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it gives me a little anxiety that, I still have one more trimester to get through. I still have 3 more months. I have this uncomfortable feeling and knot in my chest that I just want to see my baby and hold her and have her here and have her healthy and know that everything worked out and be done with feeling this sick during pregnancy. Even though I have all that, I'm going to allow those feelings and I'm just going to practice accepting where I'm at. Accepting not only the facts of I'm 27 weeks pregnant, this many days until the pregnancy's over, this many minutes left, like all of those facts, as well as where am I at emotionally? Where am I at mentally? Where are my thoughts at? Where are my emotions at? And allow all of it. Accept it and just sit in it, even if it's uncomfortable. And like I said, I don't like being uncomfortable. So this is a struggle for me. It's something I'm definitely going to be working on. But what if I got good at being uncomfortable? What if I was so good at being uncomfortable that I could just do it, that I could allow it? And typically I find that the more I allow things, the less heavy they feel. The lighter they are, the less they stay, the easier it gets. And even if that doesn't happen, let's just accept reality of where we are at right now. The next thing I recommend doing might sound kind of silly, but just try it. And that's to pick an urge that you have and try to stop it. And it doesn't have to be related at all to the impatience you're feeling. If you're feeling impatience towards getting a diagnosis or impatience toward an upcoming surgery or impatience toward some upcoming thing like having a baby for me, then pick something unrelated to chronic illness or pregnancy or whatever it is you're going through and try to work on that urge. As in, maybe you have this urge to have sugar every day. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to work on calming that urge and letting the uncomfortable urge of wanting the sugar and then not eating the sugary thing come up and allow it to go through my body and allow it to happen. And even if it's unrelated to what you're working on with your impatience, I promise you it will help because patience is something we can practice and become good at. I just believe we can become good at anything. You may have heard me say, let's be good at chronic illness. Let's be good at being uncomfortable. Let's be good at being frustrated. Let's be good at all these things. And let's be good at allowing our urges to come and letting them go because we want that instant gratification. Maybe you have urge to go shopping or get something new every once in a while. What if we allowed that urge to happen and we focused on not giving into that urge and that instant gratification and practicing allowing the uncomfortable, allowing the urges to come and go and not actually acting on them and not going and buying the thing or not going and eating the sugar or not going and watching TV instead of doing yoga. What if we practiced being patient, even if it had nothing to do with the actual thing we are struggling with the impatience, even if it doesn't really matter, it doesn't change your health or the way you view yourself or whatever, just a silly urge you want to wake up 5 minutes earlier every day, just practice it. Just practice not giving into urges. Last thing I recommend doing is to think about someone else besides yourself. I find that this helps me so much. I coach people who live chronically ill. If you need a life coach, I'm your girl. And we have so much fun in there. It's the best. So if you need a life coach, I got you. But it helps me so much to focus on someone else. When I prepare for my clients, when I sit down and talk to my clients, it's like my own problems just vanish because immediately I'm going from, oh, this is everything going on in my life and poor me and this and this and this and this pregnancy so long and, my brain just spirals. And then I talk to someone else and it's like, none of that matters. This person is going through something really hard. I want to help them. How can I help them? What kind of things can we do to help that person? When you stop thinking about yourself, start thinking about someone else, it can really help. I also find that during the day when I think about my kids more, instead of, poor me, this is so hard, this is taking forever, I just want this baby here, I think, okay, I can take care of the other 2 kids that I have here. I can take care of this baby inside my belly. What if I focused on them? And when I just focus on them, we have so much more fun. We go do fun things. Even if we're laying at home, we can still find fun things to do when I'm focused on them. When I'm focused on me, I'm just thinking, poor me, I can't do anything. But when I'm focused on my kids, I'm like, oh, we could get out Play-Doh today. And I could just lay there while they do Play-Doh next to me. And that could be so fun. Or we could do this fun activity. Like my brain comes up with ideas. And even thinking about my baby. I'm so impatient about this pregnancy and wanting to meet her. And then when I think about the baby, like, wait a second. It would not be healthy for me to have this baby right now. I want her to cook another few months. I want her to be as healthy as possible. How can I focus on her? Maybe I need to get up and do a little bit of exercise, even if I'm feeling really sick. Maybe I need to eat a little bit healthier because I'm focused on someone else besides myself. It makes it so much easier to be more patient when we're not thinking about ourselves. It's honestly mind-blowing to me how much it helps. I want to just leave you with a question to ask yourself, which is, what does it feel like to be impatient? And when I think about this, I think about what does it feel like in my body? Like for me, it's kind of like a knot in my stomach. When I feel impatient, I get this knot in my stomach, and that's what it feels like. Like I feel a physical sensation in my body when I feel an emotion. So how does that feel for you? What does it feel like to be impatient for you? Do you even know? Because if you ever sat with it and allowed it, and really figured out what is happening when I'm feeling impatient. Why am I feeling impatient, first of all, and what does that even feel like, right? We can do all those things as well as the other things we talked about in the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next week as we talk more about the future. Hey friend, do you find value in this podcast but want to take it to the next level? Work with me one-on-one or check out Chronically Me, the course and workbook. This course takes the things you are learning on the podcast and helps you apply them directly to your life. This course dives deeper into changing your thinking, teaching you how the brain works and how to maximize your life with chronic illness. I designed this course as a companion to the podcast. The podcast gives specific, real-world examples, and the course helps you put them into action. If you want personalized one-on-one help from me, I got you. I also offer individual coaching programs where we can talk about the problems you are facing. I'll help you manage your brain and find solutions to nearly every problem that you have. We will walk hand in hand on this journey together. Check the show notes or the video description on YouTube for more information on getting extra help from me. Talk to you soon.